Let me make sure that I'm actually muted on the other one. Okay, we should be live now. So hello, everybody. Welcome to our first Stitch and Bitch live show of 2020. New year, new decade. Same people. So I will introduce myself first and then call on everybody. I am Rachel. This is my channel, Colonati. If you have not been here before, I mostly talk about science fiction and fantasy and a lot of nonfiction here recently. And that's pretty much it. So, Diana?
Sure. Hi, I'm Diana, aka Bookish Di, and I talk a lot about books and Star Wars and women's sports.
Claire?
Hi, I'm Claire. My channel is Claire Russo. I talk a lot about books again, science fiction and fantasy. I also do a news show for sci-fi, fantasy, and fandom. And I've just started a TBR game where I roll dice to pick my TBR. Also, I'm ill, so if I'm making less sense than usual, we can blame that. So I don't have an excuse for the rest of the time, but hey.
I think I'm going to have both you and Rhea talk about gamifying your reading later, because you both are doing some interesting things. So, Rhea, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, so I'm Rhea. I'm from the channel The Bookfinch, should be showing on the screen too. I talk about like same things as everyone else. I talk about
you talk about manga a lot.
Yeah, that I do.
Yeah.
I talk about like SFF books, but also like comics, and I do some art stuff sometimes. And usually when I review comics, I focus quite a lot on the like art style review, because that's more my expertise, if you want to call that. And yeah, I've also been gamifying my TBR lately, so there's that.
I feel bad because I haven't actually watched your Jenga video yet. It's queued up, but
I won't spoil it for you then. Let's just say that it didn't go. Let's just say that it didn't work exactly as planned.
You need to practice. You need to practice beating the partner at Jenga.
Yes.
All right. We are missing Chelsea and Bree this morning. I'm not sure if Chelsea will pop on by a bit later, perhaps, but Bree was unfortunately unable to make it today, which is why we are on my channel rather than hers. There are some winter storms hitting the US right now, and it is having ripple effects on people's schedules this weekend.
Ooh.
So, alrighty. Well, we're going to start off today with opening our gifts. We had a bit of a gift exchange, which has also been kind of screwed with by the holiday season and the postal services in various countries not being cooperative.
I mean, what happened is I brought the idea up, but like late.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
I always underestimate how terrible mail delivery is, even in early December. And so, yeah, I'd like tried to send out all my Christmas cards like the first week of December. And there were some that still didn't even arrive until after Christmas. It's like,
wow,
this is crazy.
I feel like the moment we decided that we were going to do the gift exchange, our postal service like, time to go on a month-long strike.
Yeah.
They knew.
They were watching my
that's been resolved, right? Ray, the strike is over, right?
Yeah, it's over. I mean, our prime minister had to step down because of the way they handled the strike, and now we have a new prime minister. So,
wow,
things didn't go exactly as planned there.
All right. Does somebody want to go first with opening gifts? Or do I pick somebody?
I think maybe you or Claire, because me and Di haven't actually like received ours yet. So we're gonna be talking about other things or other gifts we've received, I guess.
Right, so I've got some parcels that came from Book Depository. I mean, I got these on the same day, and then I got a message from my Secret Santa saying, look out for Book Depository parcels. So I'm assuming it's both. Otherwise, I've ordered something I don't remember, which is always a possibility. I feel bad because I ordered my Secret Santa gift like to my house and then wrote a note and then sent it because I figured it would be better than sending it from, Book Depository. But mine hasn't arrived on the other side. So I feel like I should probably just have bloody ordered from Book Depository and maybe it would have arrived. But that's a lesson for next year.
Who's your Santa?
I'm sorry?
Who's your Secret Santa?
Who's my Secret Santa? Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm opening stuff up.
Are we revealing who the Secret Santas are? Are you guessing or
Yes, I thought I hoped I would get this. The Hidden Witch by Molly Knox Attack. I hoped I would get it. Do you know what? This was on my wish list, and I was talking about the first book in the series, so fair enough. But also, this isn't actually available in the UK, so I couldn't actually buy it from my local bookstore. I would have had to order it through Book Depository or elsewhere, so that's very exciting. I don't know if they do, like, notes.
Luke, keep those.
I'm sorry?
Sorry, Luke is like about to jump up on my lap where I have like something kind of precariously balanced.
Oh, that's nice though. You know how Book Depository do a little bookmark every time?
Oh yeah.
So this one is like a cookbook, and it's making me hungry. But there isn't actually a note in there, so...
Book Depository doesn't have gift receipts as far as I know, so it probably has something in there that says.
I mean, look, I'm assuming this came either from you, Rachel, or from Rhea, because both of you, like, put in our Twitter DM, oh, I sent mine today on the day that I got a notification that said, someone would send something to you. Oh, amazing. It's the third book. Oh, that's... Do you know what? It's going to be great because I'm just going to snuggle with my cat and read those and get myself like a really far ahead in my Goodreads challenge. I was really hoping I would get one of those. So I'm very, very excited. Thank you very much.
Now you can binge.
Luke.
I mean, I think, Rachel, you've read those.
I have.
Comics is your MO, so I'm not closer to guessing. Let's see if I get a second bookmark because that'd be exciting. Ooh, this one is flowers. That's exciting.
Nice.
Okay, and my mom made me a hat for Christmas. Well, I mean, obviously she gave me various other bits, but she had been making hats for literally everyone in the family, like beanies, and she made me a beanie in this really pretty yarn, and I was going to make a pom-pom, and now I have cardboard for pom-pom making. So
yeah.
I bought those little like pom makers, like a pom maker set a while back. I still haven't used them, but I swear that at some point I will, like when I finish this bloody scarf, I will have an excuse to make all the pom-poms in the world.
Well, if you don't know, I mean, people watching, whatever, if you don't know, if you take some cardboard and do like a circle on it, you can make your own pom-pom, and I'm going to do it now, so I'll show you when I'm more further ahead, so I don't have to actually find words to explain how it goes. Okay.
All right. Who should go next?
I think you should go next because they've just said...
Yeah, I have mine.
Oh, yeah, you have your... Oh, hello, Luke.
Yeah, he's being a cuddle bug.
Hello, little rebel scum.
He did not appreciate my attempts to scream into him this morning.
Into the void, yeah, fair enough. Oh.
All right. Mine got sent through Amazon, so I have these reusable bags,
Cool.
which are the best thing ever. I don't know if anybody else their family does this, but my family has not used wrapping paper for gifts in many years.
Wow.
My mom has made a ton of fabric wraps and bags for Christmas and for birthdays. We love the reusable bags. I don't know if it has a note on it. That's not a note.
In Amazon in the UK, I've never seen them.
Yes.
Oh,
I have a copy of it now. I was hoping I would get this because it was on like the top of my to buy at the end of the year if I didn't get it as a gift.
Aw.
So, yay. I love the cover of this. So, thank you, whoever is my Santa.
I think like Silvia Moreno Garcia's books like get constantly like super cool cover designs.
And they're always very different from each other. I've noticed that.
I really like the cover for her one coming out this year, Mexican Gothic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm.
Although it seems like it's more of a thriller, and I don't know if it has as many speculative elements, which I guess we'll have to find out is probably a bit of a spoiler whether it does or not. But I prefer speculative things.
Yeah.
I don't think I've read a straight up thriller.
I think she's one of those authors. I think she's one of those authors who like won't get typecast into one certain genre because she's always mixing it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she tends to write standalone stuff too, which helps it.
Yes, I love standalones.
Yeah, so she also has like a straight up mystery coming out this year too.
I already know what it is. I already know what it is. I'm just touching it. Yes. I could tell right away. It's the 4th volume of The Girl from the Other Side. They're just that certain type of floppy manga size. I can tell.
Also, as soon as you touch the cover, you know immediately that because usually manga covers are very like shiny, but the Girl from the Other Side covers are very matte, which is very unusual.
Yeah, they're kind of thin and matte. They're like really different from the Fruits Basket manga that I have. Yeah. Cool. Yay, thank you. I'm collecting this entire series now. Like, I'm going to get the rest of them probably from interlibrary loan, but I'm like, I had to buy all of them eventually.
Nice.
Awesome. So thank you to my Secret Santa.
All right, I can go next. Hi, buddy. So am I just like opening this and then am I showing a gift that I received, or am I opening this and did the person...
Whatever you want to do.
All right, well, I'm just gonna what actual Mrs. Claus got me was a Book Infusers or a Book Lover's cup of tea. So it's a tea infuser, which I haven't opened it yet. So, but it's shaped like a book, and it comes with some Earl Grey tea. Dorian Earl Grey.
Ooh.
Oh.
I should have removed the sticky first. But yeah, I want to try and drink more tea, so this is good. So yeah, it's just a little book infuser.
Oh, is it like one of those silicone ones?
Yeah.
It looks TARDIS-y.
Oh.
Oh, that's actually nice. It looks like it's easy to clean.
Right.
Yeah, so that will be nice because that is something that can be a problem with these.
Yeah, I always buy like super cool tea infusers and never use them because they're a pain to clean up. So they just sit on my tea shelf unused.
No.
Yeah. I have one of the silicone ones that's shaped like the Loch Ness monster. It's freaking adorable, but it doesn't seal very well. It's like the bottom of the monster's body is the bit that pops off, and I'm like, how? What?
I have one that I got from a friend that's shaped like a bath duck, and it floats when you put it on the tea.
Yeah.
So then the other two things that I have near me that I got, because my family knows me so well, I got Disney has started repurposing the old VHS into notebooks.
Ooh, that's a cool idea.
Yeah, so
wow.
my favorite Disney movie. And then I also got some new Stitch pins because when we went to, so I normally will get like one for Christmas, but when we went to Disney World, we were in line to meet Stitch, and these little boys were like, Mom, Dad, that woman has all these Stitch pins, and they were like being so sweet. And so I ended up trading some of my Stitch pins away, and so I got some new ones.
That's very sweet.
Leia.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said my name, and then I realized.
No, I'm done. Leia's currently like peeking over the arm of my chair, looking like she's considering attacking something.
All right, is that what you were gonna? Were you gonna open the other thing?
Oh yeah. So I don't know what my Secret Santa got me.
Maybe by the next live show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It will be here, but pretending to open it. I don't know. Anyway, I'm all done. Why did you guys attack this box? Sorry, I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's like little puncture marks on this really nice box that my sister used for her gift that I'm sure thing 1 and thing 2 are responsible for.
The answer is yes, always. Mm-hmm. If you have to ask, the answer is yes. They got into the box.
But they're cat, and it's a box, so
if it fits, it sits.
Yeah. I mean, in this case, if it fits, it destroys.
KJ says you got the gift of potential, Di. Eventually.
Oh, so I can show some of what I got. My friend got me these like bookmarks that are for annotating. So you can write down like the title and the author and like notes to discuss. And if you're reading the book for pleasure or to prove something, you have a check mark, and then on the other side you have additional notes. So I've actually been using these to mark my ratings and stuff. And nice. Then another thing I got is this calendar, which is super cool. It's like printed on like watercolor paper, so it's like super thick. And I can show you like some of my favorite illustrations. There's like this one for Never Ending Story.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably repurpose my favorite ones after this year and like frame them for prints. And then I can show you what I got for my partner because it's such a cool thing. I got a cookbook.
Oh no!
That's based on like H.P. Recipes and writes from the lore of H.P. Lovecraft. And it's like super funny. There's like at the end the recipes are like done in like your regular recipe style, but in the beginning they're like froth the yolks in a large bowl with a suitable turbulence inducer, like stuff like that. They're like written as a ritual. So it's like super fun.
That's cool.
That's great.
I noticed Andrea freaking out in the chat, so I have succeeded.
All right. Yeah, Andrea, are you going to rush out and get one for yourself like right away? Awesome. Well, hopefully, I don't know if by the next live show, other people will be here and can open theirs, or we may do that offline. It's kind of sad that we didn't get to do this back in December, but
maybe next year we need to start planning this in October or something. Wait,
Yeah,
this year.
Oh no.
Are you okay, Claire?
Time. What is time? Sorry. Yeah. It's just, you know, when we got to all these end of year things in 2019 and somebody was like, what's it called? Shoot. Somebody was listing all the things that were this year that had happened in 2019 that were under a year old, and all of them seemed like a million years ago. Like Captain Marvel was in 2019.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh my.
I know.
Is this like the longest or was the longest year on record or something?
It was felt
It was
yeah,
the
like,
longest.
Like,
It felt long.
because you have like 5 like unbelievable things happening every day, you know, things that would be like stop the news and like breaking. You have so many things every day. Anyway,
Yeah, I feel like I have no concept of breaking news anymore, because like every time something happened, it was just like, well, it's been 15 minutes, another shitstorm hitting the fan, you know. It's like I've been so desensitized over the last year that I don't even know what to do. Like if the world ended, I would be like sipping coffee on my chair and like, well, I guess it's fine, like that dog in the animation.
anyway, I have made little cardboard thingies. They're a circle with a smaller circle on the inside and a little slit to get the yarn in. And so then you wrap yarn around it, as I'm about to demonstrate as we keep going. Making my pom-pom.
That is a good enough segue. The next bit of our agenda is what we are currently making today. I'll go first, because I don't have that much to show. I haven't even started working on this today. Put it the right way up. My sweater is starting to actually look like a sweater.
oh, that's so pretty.
I'm kind of scared to do the ribbing because I have to like pick up stitches around the neckline to do the neck ribbing. And I have no idea how to do that with knitting. So I'm going to be Googling like crazy for tutorials.
On what to do in knitting, sorry?
To pick up stitches.
Oh, okay.
Like I can kind of see how to do it in places where I did like the backwards cast on, but most of this is the edge. And I have no idea what I'm doing. But anyway, this is it's a raglan style sweater, and it's a free pattern on Ravelry called Brick. I think it's just called Brick. So it's pretty easy, even though the instructions are not very detailed. So
Nice.
hopefully I will get that done pretty soon. Who wants to go next?
I can go next. So I finished the Giant Book Scarf for 2019. I'm not going to unravel it because getting it back on is going to be
a monumental task.
Yeah, it is very, very long because critical mistakes were made, namely that I should have chosen a different legend than one row every 25 pages. Yeah, but
at least it's unique. No one has a scarf like yours.
Yeah. So I learned my lesson. So instead of a book scarf, I'm doing a book blanket for 2020. I found a pattern in a library. So it's from a book called The Joyful Art of Knitting, I think, or The Gentle Art of Knitting. And so this is what the blanket looks like.
Ooh.
So I'm doing a modified version of that because the original blanket is 190 squares. And while I read a lot, I don't read that much. So I'm doing rows of 10, I think 10 or 11 blocks. So I'm knitting every row and then I'll bind off and move to the next row. And so I'll be making them like scarves and then sewing them all together.
Smart.
I was going to ask if it's pieced or if it's like join as you go or just...
It's kind of both. So the original one too, you're doing 2 color rows at the same time, but that doesn't work for how I would want to keep track of my reading.
Yeah.
So I still need to buy the rest of the colors, but I'm working on my science fiction one right now.
Cool.
Okay, I can go next. I'm currently in the process of weaving in the ends of my Hufflepuff Scarf. It's still not finished, but it's starting to get so long that all the ends have started to like trying to tangle in on themselves when I knit. So I guess I had to do this sooner or later. So that's what I'm doing right now. And if I have time, I will actually like knit at the end of this. But I have a lot of ends to weave. Pro tip to anyone starting big projects like this: don't leave the weaving until the end. Weave as you go.
Yeah, I have to weave in. I have to weave in all the ends of this scarf, and I'm putting it off because I hate doing it.
No.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So I am working on 2 things. Obviously, this pom-pom that I already mentioned, and then the hat is elsewhere in the flat, so I won't be sewing it on today. Then I'm also finishing up this scarf that I started, that I made with this yarn that I got at Worldcon this year, and it's like really short. I'm not sure how practical it's actually gonna be because it's, you know, like it's wrappable, but it's not going to, it's, you know, it's maybe shorter of a scarf than I normally would go for, but this yarn was expensive, so.
Oh, you could probably, like get a nice shawl pin and pin it in front.
That is a really good idea, yeah. I just need to block it, I think is the term, like where you make it lay flatter. But I've literally never done that because I think my mom either doesn't know that it's a thing or doesn't care for doing it. So I've never learned to do it because if my mom didn't teach it to me when I was a kid.
Blocking, I did blocking for the knitting project I made for a friend, and it's actually pretty easy. I used baby shampoo instead of like wool stuff.
Oh, okay. So wait, what do you actually? I don't know what you actually do. I just know that you guys mentioned it, and I was like, wait.
Well, it depends on how you want to block it. And what kind of fiber is it? Is it wool? Is it a blend?
This one, I don't know, but I can. It was quite nice. I think it was merino. So.
Oh wait, you said it was from Worldcon. Is it Third Vault yarn?
No, it's not Third Vault. It's like, you know, when we went to that one store that had like the giant display in the window.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, it's probably 100% wool or it
was like 13 euros a ball of yarn. So I sure hope that it was 100% wool because it was pricey.
Yeah, it's probably got a mostly wool content to it.
Yeah.
So you can block it with just by making it wet and then laying it out. Which if you don't want to make it bigger, like if you're not trying to expand the texture of it like lace, then that's what I would do. Just stick it in some lukewarm water with a very, very small amount of liquid soap. Let it soak for about 15 minutes and then very gently lift it out and squeeze it. You don't want it to spread. You don't want the weight of it to drag it down because that will start to really pull it apart.
And you don't want to agitate it because you don't want it to felt.
Right. You don't have to be like super, super gentle with it though. Like you might just kind of pat it and make sure that it's submerged in the water and move it around a little bit. But yeah. And if you really want to get the water out of it, roll it up in a towel and squeeze it and then lay it out flat and just kind of pat it into the position you want it to be in.
Yeah, and for laying it out flat, because I don't have blocking mats, what I ended up doing was putting some towels on my guest bed.
Yeah.
And shutting the cats out of the room.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, yeah. we don't chuck the cat out of the room in this house because I mean, first of all, because we're doormats and she is very spoiled, but also, yeah, she spends all her time in this room, so it would be a very sad thing indeed. But I can lay it out somewhere else because it's not very big, so I can lay it out probably in the bathroom or something. Anyway, thank you very much. That's going to be really useful.
I mean, MOSFET recently learned to open doors, so
You're so screwed.
yeah,
Sorry.
he's the revolutionary who lets out all the other ones who have been mistreated by us putting them in the rooms to have a little bit of a break from each other.
Let my kitties go.
Yes. Oh God.
By the way, Increments off in the chat says my local yarn shop has someone that will weave in ends and block your project for you for a small fee. And I'm like, I would pay money for that every day of the week. Like,
Yes.
I hate weaving in ends so much.
That's
Yeah.
the worst.
Oh my god, yeah. And Joe says, I hope there's an Icelandic Worldcon in the near future. That would be great for us because there's some good yarn in Iceland and it's real cheap.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But Iceland is also like fun in a sense that same kinds of biohazard things apply as in New Zealand. They're very strict about what gets brought into the country.
Yeah.
Because,
And
you know, biodiversity and stuff.
Yeah, booze is very expensive in Iceland, so I'm sure
Well, you know, that it's a Nordic country.
at Worldcon. Well, I mean, you know, it's a serious issue. You know, even in the north of France compared to the south of France, they have much stricter like kind of regulations for that kind of thing. Because it's just like if it's more dark more of the year, then rates of like depression and stuff will go up, and you know that you want to be careful with that. That makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, in Finland, everything relating to alcohol is like very strict, like bars. If you want to sell alcohol, like anything relating to it is like it's a nightmare for business owners and tax, like from a tax sense, because like the alcohol tax is insane.
Wow, I didn't realize the U.S. was so lax about its booze policies then.
Well, I
you
think
know,
it depends on where you are in the US because, like,
That's true. Like, I had no idea that there are like certain counties and states here in the US that have stricter regulations. Like my brother moved to a county where you can't sell alcohol on certain days of the week, and you can't mail alcohol. you can't like order it because they won't deliver it to your house and stuff. So.
I mean, we start giving people alcohol when they are 18. So you know, maybe that's why. Like you can buy hard liquor when you're 18, and that's why I always get confused when like 20-year-olds in the US are like, oh, I can't wait to be like a full-grown adult with rights, and I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, we can vote and we can buy cigarettes when we're 18. Though I think they just changed somebody tried to change the age to 21 for cigarettes as well.
yeah.
Not that
Yeah,
I
we
know about
have,
that
like,
one, but
voting, driving, drinking, smoking, all that stuff happens when you're 18. 18 is the year that everyone like waits for. Also, you graduate from high school and people give you lots of money. So
I never got money at graduation.
yeah,
What is that scam?
It's a thing here. Like you get the white graduation cap, and everyone treats graduating high school like you. Basically, when you graduate high school, people treat you like you just finished your doctorates. Like it's insane. And nowadays that I'm actually an adult, it sounds so weird to me.
I never got any of the like school celebrations. Not even when I went to university. I know a lot of it is because I was homeschooled. So it was like, you're graduating from 8th grade. Who cares? But when I skipped my
parents
undergraduate.
care.
I skipped my undergraduate ceremony in university, so nobody really knew about it. I was told I could not skip my grad school one though, so I had to walk and get the hood and all of that. It's like I did not enjoy it.
My family makes it is a very big deal, so I would not have been allowed to skip high school, undergrad, or graduate.
Yeah, my parents also like my mom got the whole like when you finish like high school and stuff, there's this like you get the white hat and it has like this like a lyre, like a harp, and mothers can buy these brooches that have like a lyre for each child that has graduated and like gotten the hat, and my mom went all out and got the brooch things and stuff and flaunted it at every single occasion. It was weird.
Wow.
Yeah, the weirdest thing that happened for me is that when you finish high school in France, you have to do baccalaureate, and it's a big set of a lot of different exams because we do a lot more subjects to higher. We stay more generalist for longer. So you've set something like 10 exams or whatever in 2 weeks, and you're shattered, and they're like 4 hours sit down, write an essay, depending on the subject, and it's just like you just want it to be done, right? And then when it's done after a few weeks, they've like marked everything, and there's the big day where everybody can go and get the results. And so you can go online, but you can also go to your actual physical, not to your school, but to the school where you sat the exam. So you're there in this like school that you don't really know, and they post all the results. And so I went and picked up my results, and they were, I passed, but also it had there's 3 or 4 levels of distinction, and I got like one of the first ones. So it was good. It wasn't like amazing, but it was good. So I ring my mom at work, and her line was busy. So I ring my dad at home, and I tell him my results, very excited. I tell him, I'm just going to ring mom, and then I'm going to ring everybody else. And then I ring my mother and tell her. And by the time I'd spent like 5 minutes on talking to the phone on my mother, every other person I rang after that had already had a call from my dad telling them the thing. And I was just like, but you didn't sit all those bloody exams. And I don't even get to tell people. It was very annoying.
Your dad was so excited.
Yeah, but there's appropriate ways of being excited. If there's anyone out there who watches Schitt's Creek, the new season of Schitt's Creek has just started in Canada, and I watched the first episode of the new season. But before I did, I rewatched the end of last series. And the end of last series, the last episode, there's a big piece of news that one of the people that David wants to tell everybody. And I thought back to this story, because the entire episode is David going I'm going to organize this great thing where I tell everybody my news, and the entire town is just news blocking him. The entire town is just spreading this news, and by the time it comes around, he's just already everybody already knows. So it's just families. Anyway. Ooh, Andrea says Schitt's Creek is filmed where my parents live. That's really exciting.
Wait, where in Canada is it filmed?
Toronto?
I know that Andrea lives in Toronto.
But her parents.
Yeah. I also know that Andrea's stepdad is from
Jamaica?
Jamaica? Maybe? I started questioning myself. Suddenly my brain was no, I don't want to be wrong.
Just slightly north of Toronto.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, I think I can't go further anymore. although it looks more moon-shaped than pom-pom shaped. So I'm going to try this thing. You have 2 pieces of cardboard because you want to be able to get scissors in between the 2 pieces and then cut through. So there we go. Carry on, carry on.
No, I'm just excitedly like.
We want to see the pom pom taking shape.
Yeah.
Yarn. This
We
is
want
the
to
problem.
see the pom pom ASMR.
Yeah, these scissors.
I
aren't
might need to like needle.
actually. These scissors aren't actually like sharp enough to give you like good. There you go.
I might have to needle felt some of these weaves.
Canada's delightful.
Canada is delightful.
This is Andrea says small towns called Uxbridge and Stouffville.
Okay, no, I will raise you that. Tatamagouche.
Okay, but
That's
if you're
about
French, if you know French, then Stouffville is funny.
Okay, fine.
It just sounds funny as a word. Not because it's rude or anything, just the sound of stouff in French is funny.
No, what are you doing?
Catting.
Was that your void or or another one?
Both voids. They are the brown void and the blue void, or the red void and the blue void. Mosfet is like, I want to play, and Hedda is like, never.
I should have gotten my fabric scissors for this.
I don't know where Leia ran off to, but Luke is currently sleeping in my lap.
Oh, that's nice. When I was home for just after Christmas, my home void, my pirate void, Lessa, was very snuggly. She's quite old now, and she just wanted to be indoors and snuggle, which was great until I found out that she had fleas. And after which it was less great.
Andrea says it's pronounced
great.
Stoveville.
Okay, well, fine.
Stoof sounds better though.
Doesn't
Says every
There's
person who ever
honestly no accounting
mispronounces
for
anything.
Ontarians' tastes.
well, you can say that if you want.
I'm a maritimer, so
Yeah.
I mean, like, I swear there's always that person who is like, I like my pronunciation better, and like doesn't realize how rude it is to the people in
Well,
question.
okay, I'm not actually going to go to Stoveville and mispronounce it. Not actually a baddie.
My favorite town names in the US are the basically the little like Midwestern towns that are named after foreign places, but they're pronounced in that truly terrible American way. My favorite is Versailles.
Oh no.
That you can't call it anything else. You have to pronounce it Versailles. And then there's one called Cairo. Not Cairo,
Oh.
Cairo.
I know that there are a couple like Finnish towns. There's like Vaasa, but I don't know if they call it Vegas or something.
Oh man,
But,
Andrea, I would love to come and mispronounce things to your Canadian face in Canada. That would be
I doubt Andrea would care because she's actually Romanian disguised as a Canadian.
She can be both. You're allowed to be both.
No, you are only allowed to be one thing at the same time. No, I don't know what I was going to like. Where I was going with this. My brain just segwalls all like.
All right, I'm going to get us back on track with our little outline. Our next new segment is what is something new you want to make, or what is the next project that you have queued up?
Oh, you can go first, Claire.
I was gonna say I don't really have a next project queued up because I've still got a lot of blanket to make for 2019 that I haven't caught up. But there's this yarn website that keeps serving me ads on Instagram, and they sell like bundles of a bunch of different colored yarns.
Ooh.
Of like, here, buy 10 balls of this very pretty colored cotton for like £12. I'm just like, I'm only human. So something.
Remember what you said to me, Claire.
No,
you need
I
to
do.
save up for New Zealand.
You are correct. I am correct. No, I'm gonna give it to you. You are correct. I was ignoring my own advice, but yeah. I should say for New Zealand also, I have other yarns, and I should finish this blanket for this year, but the lure of new projects.
Yeah.
I found a pattern for a really pretty shawl that I want to try, but I need to get the yarn.
This is what the pom-pom looks like right now. I've massacred the cardboard a little bit, but what you do is you loop some yarn around the middle so that it doesn't all fly away, and I tie it in a really strong knot. Sorry, I keep interrupting everybody for pom-pom updates. What am I doing?
But yeah, I either want to make this shawl or I want to learn how to make like fingerless gloves, because I found a pattern a while ago that was for fingerless Mass Effect Interrupt gauntlets. So you have Paragon Interrupt and the Renegade Interrupt. And because my office can get kind of cold, I would like to have something I can wear so I can still keep typing.
Yeah.
Yes, priorities. Like last time I made fingerless gloves, I was supposed to do the actual finger parts, and then I got lazy and just made one big hole. So they're technically fingerless gloves.
Accidental lazy ones.
Yes, lazy gloves.
They can still be. I mean, I think they count if they're covering.
Yeah.
Do you know you can get
cover the palm?
Yeah, you can get those patterns that are they cover your thumb and then they come up to here, but they don't actually divide up, because that's fiddly work.
Yeah, and basically, what you do is that if you know how to do a thumb, then you can do fingerless gloves. It's the same.
Yeah. I don't know how to do a thumb,
idea.
So.
Do you know how to increase and decrease?
Yes.
Then the pattern will tell you how to do a thumb.
Okay.
If you can find there must be a lot of free patterns on Ravelry.
Yeah.
Also, I personally watched a lot of YouTube tutorials when I made my first thumbs.
Yeah, honestly, my real crafting goal this year is to kind of do more complicated knitting patterns, because I've done shawls, I've done cowls and hats and scarves and stuff, but I haven't done gloves or sweaters.
My goal for my next project is to make this. Let me see. I can actually put it on the private chat so Rachel can link it if she wants.
This is very weirdly shaped.
Victoria's German shawl, which is kind of like a variation on a virus shawl.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
That's what I want to make next, because I have all those mint-colored yarns from Ireland that I bought.
Yeah,
and I probably won't be using all of that to make the dragon scale gloves that I also want to make for New Zealand. So
that pattern looks amazing.
Yeah, and there's a whole YouTube tutorial also for that. So I've already watched it. Like I've been going on like a huge YouTube crochet channel and knitting channel rabbit hole, and just subscribe to like a ton of new channels.
That's always fun. This is very lopsided.
That the German shells shawl reminds me a bit of the Granny Meets Virus shawl. It looks like it kind of has that virus pattern in it, which it's really fun to do.
I find it weird that it's called virus though. Why is it called virus?
I don't know. I think the original creator is German or Dutch. And some people say that it's called virus because it went viral, but it was called that before. So I don't know. Probably because it kind of, the way the pattern works, it has this sort of like self-spawning thing. It just increases really quickly. Or maybe. I'm trying to log into Ravelry so I can get the link for what I'm making next, and Ravelry hates me right now. It's not loading any pictures. I have a tendency to start way too many big projects at one time, and I really stop doing that so I can get things finished. But once I get my Ziggy shawl done and I get my gray sweater done, I'm going to attempt the Sashiko Happy Coat pattern.
Yeah, I saw you link that.
Pop the link in the chat.
Let me show you to everyone.
So I did get the yarn for this, and I also got the yarn for my Avalon sweater, which is a sweater. So it's a box.
Oh, wow.
Completely full of yarn.
MOSFET just took like 5 screenshots of my computer.
Oh.
But yeah, I have all the materials to make this coat now, and I'm suddenly very scared to start on it because it's really complicated. Like the pattern is 33 pages long.
Wow.
And half of it is like embroidery diagrams, and I have no idea how to do that. So,
oh no. Like I love me some embroidery, but also embroidery is so taxing.
Yeah. So we'll see. I do want to get it done by the middle of the year because I really, really want to be able to wear this coat when we go to New Zealand. But I'm also worrying about, like, am I allowed to bring wool into the country? Are they going to stop me?
I'm sure that New Zealand Customs has a website that has like a list of things.
I went and looked at it, and it said that raw wool was the like. So if it's like been like handled and made into like yarn, it goes through several washes. But if you're planning to like shear a sheet and just put the like raw wool in your suitcase, then you're in trouble.
So that begs the question, are any of us going to take up spinning and want to get some raw wool?
If I do that, I'm just going to go back to Nova Scotia and chill with my aunt because like she's gotten into like spinning and weaving. Like she has a legit spinning wheel and a little loom that she uses.
Very witchy.
I want to try it. I would like to try to learn just to see how it works, but it's very daunting. I wish that Bree was here because I think that she took a spinning class recently or was going to.
I have done spinning, and it's actually like once you get the hang of it, it's really fat. Like you're basically just sitting there brushing the wool and putting it through the spinner and like pedaling, and it's like once you get the hang of it, it's super easy, and like relaxing almost. Like
Yeah, I
you
was
get
gonna
into
say.
the rhythm.
Did anyone ever read the Emelon books from Tamara Pierce? The Circle of Magic books?
Oh yeah, like well, isn't it Sandri who is?
Yeah, with the
Yeah.
spinning. Yeah.
I've kind of forgotten about that. Yeah. Yep.
Anyway, I think that's about.
Actually, I was sorry.
You pom pom.
Well,
It's a palm.
they always say at the end of the tutorial, like, now trim your pom pom, and they never explain, and they go from like this is a mess to this is round. So, I guess I don't know. That'll do. I mean, it'll be on top of the hat, so it doesn't matter that the bottom is very flat. And I've just had to sharpen my scissors a little bit because they weren't working. So. Anyway.
That will do, pom pom. That will do.
Yeah. I was just thinking that sitting there on the stream, sharpening my scissors with like a Stanley knife was a power move. Then I realized it probably just sounded really threatening, but it was off screen.
You are threatening, Claire.
Well, I mean, you know, it's the point, I suppose. I don't even know what I'm saying.
This weaving doesn't look at all aesthetically pleasing, so I'm going to have to needle felt some of these ends in at some point. That's,
Oh dear.
Nobody will look at the wrong side of this scarf. Maybe.
No, they won't. I have tiny like bits of wool fluff everywhere on my computer. So there we go. But yeah, this website I was saying that like I keep seeing that there's a big sale and it's quite cheap. I don't know, maybe it's terrible quality or you know, I haven't.
What website is it?
Yeah,
But it's called Hobby. But with
no, you've been targeted by the same ads. I also subscribe to their newsletter.
That's shocking to hear, yeah.
They have like free patterns too, and a YouTube channel.
Yeah, although to be fair, they're free patterns. I opened one of them and it was very clear what was going on in that pattern because it was quite an easy one, but it was very, like, it wasn't laid out very good and it wasn't written very good. So, like, if you were just following the instructions and if you didn't, like, understand what was going on, it would have been very confusing, but also it was just, like, literally double crochets and you augment in the first... You know, you chain 3, you do 1 double crochet, then you chain through again, augment 1, you know, and basically like every rank you augment 1 double crochet, and then when it's nice and wide, every rank you diminish 1 double crochet. I mean, it looked great because if you use a variegated yarn, it'll look great. But like, it was such an easy explanation that like, you know, a page and I was like, oh, I see how this functions. But also, it was very badly written. I was like, what language is that?
For free.
Yeah, but like...
Gratis.
Anyway, the thing is, this shawl that I started making because Third Vault Yarns actually at EasterCon this year recommended it. I kept making mistakes and I ended up like just stopping not making it, but Di made it.
Yeah,
and you didn't seem, I don't know, I just kept making mistakes. And
so for me, I knitted it while I was watching The Librarians, which is a really good show and I enjoy it, but it's not something I necessarily need to pay like a whole lot of attention to. And I was also, and like, I definitely like messed up, but I was able to like go back and fix it pretty easily. And I think also like, because I remembered what like your specific problem points that you had mentioned, I was able to avoid them.
Oh, fair enough. Because I think for me, it was more like by the time I got to the bit where like it would be really obvious if it was wrong, it's quite a way in. So if you've messed up, like to then go back and change it is difficult. So I think if I attempted it again, I'd want to make it up to that point and then make sure of how many stitches I think I need and like correct it on that rank before starting the pattern, because it's a pattern of little holes, and if you mess up at that point,
Yeah, and I definitely like would go say hi to Leia.
Oh, hello.
Leia's not as cuddly as her brother. But I did like keep track before I started the chevrons, like how many stitches that I had, so that, because like I said, I remembered like what your specific problem points were.
All right, so we are entering our second hour. Do we want to move on to books and media?
Sure.
I understand we will eventually get another Star Wars rant from Di, so
I'll try my best to keep it to the minimum.
Next up is actually what we are currently reading. I will go first because I need to take a quick break here in a second. So very quickly, what I'm currently reading, I am rereading Foreigner by C.J. Cherryh, and I'm just like all squeeing about this book right now. I can't even talk like coherently about it. It's the first in a very long, pretty hard science fiction series by Cherryh, and the main character is a human interpreter living in an alien society, and it's so good.
It's the language one.
Yes. And it's about to get super like political intrigue and all of that.
I feel like that's very on brand for you. Every time there's something like linguistics and stuff.
Oh yeah. Though I am, I first read this when I was about 14, I think. So it's been 16 years since I read it before. And now I'm reading it now, and I'm actually buddy reading this with Kazen from Always Doing, and she lives in Japan and speaks Japanese and everything. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm pretty sure that the alien Atevi culture in this series is pulling from Japanese inspiration, or at least like Asian, and it's way more obvious to me now. Like, I'm an adult now, and I know so much more, and I'm picking up on these things, but it's so neat. And I love the linguistic and interpretation aspect of this whole world, but I'm seriously questioning how much of the language Cherryh actually created, because there are some like pronunciation rules and a list of like commonly used words in the back of the 10th anniversary edition, but I don't feel like there's really, like, you don't actually get to see the language that much, just these individual words for like concepts that the humans don't have. Like, I want the grammar.
I love when people like put like conlang things as separate like compendiums or something, that you can have like a spin-off thing, and then you can just like go deep.
Yeah.
I could go next.
Okay, you go next. I have to take a break, so I will.
Because of your nice segue about the Asian stuff. I'm reading the Manga Guide to Cryptography.
Nice.
Because Vold picked it for me. But it's actually pretty interesting. I got accepted into this female-only training program for like cybersecurity.
Congratulations again.
So I'm going to be there for 6 months, and it's amazing. And this whole thing basically covers like encryption and stuff, and it follows this like there's a storyline, and you can like deduct puzzles and stuff and use like encryption codes and stuff to work your way through the story and solve the mystery.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So the only thing I don't like is the art style, because this is so like very like moe, which is like very kind of lolicon, and basically all the female characters look like little girls, even though they're supposed to be adults. And there's like very male gazy. male gazy art style, which I'm not a fan of. But anyway, and
Sorry.
the other thing I'm reading is Autonomous by Anna Leonowens.
Oh yeah. That's on my TBR actually.
Hold on, I'll be right back. I need to go get the cat away from the cabinet.
Go, Die, go!
Protect the galaxy.
Yes.
Woo!
That is a mood. I have a very old cat who does not mess around, and sometimes it's very, very nice.
Yeah,
when I hear you guys.
Like it's so funny because like I had like accepted that Tesla and Hedda are very calm, and now that we have like MOSFET, he's like the Zoom lord. He's like constantly going around and like wreaking havoc.
Okay, so you said Zoom Lord, and I'm now picturing like the Fire Lord, but a cat.
Well, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. It's basically like laser pointers are his favorite thing, and basically every night we have to like run him around the flats until he starts panting. And then we know that, okay, we can stop playing now, and he will most likely sleep peacefully and let us sleep during the night.
Well, yeah, because cats are nocturnal, so if you don't like get him to expand his like wild Azula energy, I can see that.
But Claire, you said that Autonomous was on your TBR. I've actually really been enjoying it so far. I'm about like 1/3 of the way in, and it's interesting because it has some really high concepts, and sometimes in the text you're like, wait, what? Because the concepts are introduced in a kind of dense way, but at the same time the prose is like very readable and kind of like popcorny in a sense. Like you feel like you're like, I'm just reading and having a fun time, and then you run into like a huge like high sci-fi concept, and you're like, wait, and it just takes a moment for the brain to adjust. But it's been really nice, and I like the way that the AI character is written.
Yeah, just to clarify, it's not on my TBR, it's on my TBR shelf, as in I have it, I would like to read it, I haven't read it yet, but I'm not reading it this month.
Eventually.
Yes, eventually. Well, I'm working on...
I'm just trying to get you more excited.
Yes. No, that's much appreciated. Because it does sound very high concept, and same with The Future of Another Timeline, which is Anna Leonowens' newer book. Like, it is very high concept when, you know, like... I mean... It's actually, I think, the third book this year, or that came out in 2019, about like a time war. So
yeah, it seems to be trending. Like,
well, you know what?
Topic.
The Future of Another Timeline, the arc came with a iron-on patch that says we're in the worst timeline. So I think we got a clue as to why we get a lot of time war books.
Yeah,
right there. The patch does not lie either. So anyway, yeah.
I also like on a quick note, just because you said the worst timeline, I like that everyone was like at the end of 2019, everyone was like, yes, 2020 is gonna be great. It's gonna like everything's gonna change first week of 2020, and then people are okay, shit. We spoke too soon.
We always speak too soon. So I guess I'll go next. I'm currently reading two things. The first, I'm trying to only read books that I own this month, because my to read own TBR is atrocious and I don't want to talk about it. But I'm currently, so the first book I'm reading is Girl Sleuth, Nancy Drew and the Woman Who Created Her by Melanie Rehak. And Nancy Drew was very, very formative for me. Like, I'm a big mystery person, and a big part of that is because I read a lot of Nancy Drew as a small child.
Same.
So I'm not super far in, but it's pretty interesting at this point. And then the other book I'm reading is Gideon the Ninth. And again, I'm not too far into it, but I'm enjoying it.
I
need
feel
to-
bad
I need-
now because I DNF'd Gideon the 9th. But
I have it parked.
You
I
and
got
Thomas are like the only people I know that don't like it.
I got like 88 pages in, and I liked it, but I have this tendency to like park books. Like I have currently like 5 books that are just like I've liked them, I've made some ways into them, and then I just put them down and start other things. I wonder why that is.
Yeah.
We
I have
both know
some-
why that is, but I parked
Yes.
Gideon and I parked Gideon the week that it came out because I got the book in the mail. It was so beautiful. I started it and then I parked it and I finished it like 2 months later. So, you know,
Yeah,
it's
I
opiate for all of us, and our brains are so easily distracted.
yeah. I'm hoping to like finish it after we're done with this Stitch and Bitch because it's gross out and I don't want to leave my apartment.
Fair.
Solid.
But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. A couple of my friends are actually going to be cosplaying as Harrow and Gideon, and one of them like ordered a skeleton to make Gideon or not, to make Harrow's costume.
Nice.
I
Wait,
actually
where are they
like.
cosplaying it?
In DC.
Oh,
I feel like Harrow's costume, like I can see in my mind's eye how you could make that rib cage like bodies from EVA foam to have it like be super like lightweight
nice.
and make it sort of more portable.
Mm.
Yeah, I like if I had less body issues, I would work on more cosplay stuff. Like I really need to like maybe this is the year that I start working on my body confidence issues and try to like actually like finish some cosplay stuff instead of just talking about how I want to cosplay.
Yeah, I want to cosplay, but where is the time? There's so many. I constantly get told to put projects down because I'm constantly wanting to try new things.
Yeah, Claire, put some back.
I mean,
I don't even know what you have. Put some back. Put some back.
I mean, Claire, I need to work on my graduation thesis.
Yeah.
And I also promised my friend that I would tutor her in Swedish. Like I just like suddenly before I had realized it, I had said that I can help you. I'm pretty good at Swedish. I can help you with your course.
What you
And
need,
then I was like, no.
what you need, and by you I mean you and me both. What we both need is one of these little signs, you know, from like work sites that say 0 days since I volunteered for new shit. Yeah.
It's gonna be 0 all the time. Like it starts to go to 1 and then like nope. Put it back.
Well, one thing that I think I can do because I can make it more, I can streamline it and make it simpler, is someone brought up on Twitter yesterday, like we should have like a reading challenge of some description where where it's got prompts of like beloved fan fiction tropes, and you read original fiction with those tropes that you love, just so that you can see that those tropes you love from fic exist in original fiction as well. And you know, I was thinking something like that would be really cool to do, especially like as just a bingo card. You know, it doesn't have to be like a readathon or like a real. Immediately, my mind goes to make it a really involved thing, but if I just make a bingo card, like that wouldn't be too much. I was thinking of maybe asking people on Twitter for their recommendations, and then do a bingo card, and then do a video with my recommendation and other people's recommendations. You know, like just introducing it, but where like my involvement would just be, I'm introducing this bingo card that I'm going to try and complete in like the next 6 months or whatever. People use it however you want.
Well, what could be fun is kind of doing it the way that the trope bingo fiction fanfic sites do it, where there's a list, and when you sign up, there's like a way to create, like each person gets an individualized bingo card. So like it's not So like I think that could be interesting where it's like each person gets a different bingo card with the different tropes. Because then everyone would have like a very different reading experience, and it could be really fun to see like what tropes people got.
But you see how you're organizing a readathon right now in your mind, though, right? I mean, look, if you're willing, I'm gonna tell Susan on you that you're like egging me on doing a readathon.
I fear not, Susan. I fear Jenny.
Well.
I fear Jenny. I do not fear Susan.
Jenny is closer to you physically.
That is true.
I actually do have like ideas for readathons. Like after my graduation thesis, like after I graduate, hopefully in June, I feel like then I will have time to do another round of translate-a-thon. It's been on the back burner because of, school.
Yeah.
So that's coming. And also one thing that I kind of want to do is a readathon that focuses more on the self-care aspects. So
nice.
like all of the challenges would be more like for example, that like make a reading snack or take some time for yourself, like put off social media and stuff like that. And like it's not about like finishing stuff, it's more like having like that time for yourself and doing it as a community.
Amazing.
So like it's kind of like inspired by like Lauren's cozy reading night from Lauren and the Books, but I might like want to do it as a sort of like a weekend long thing.
Sorry, this is an amazing idea. I'm laughing at Adri in the chat who says, Claire, I'm going to DM you about this idea. Please do. That'd be delightful. Let's organize it in conjunction with, let's organize it with Adri and I know words, I know websites.
Yes. I mean, and I also like promised Ashley from I Don't Have a Degree in Reading that I would like host another round of one readathon at some point, and I was like, can we do it in May when I've returned my thesis, please?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Also, is the timing, right? Because for me, I was just saying the timing for this trope thing. The best thing for me to do would probably be February. Because after February, we start to get into BookTube SFF Awards, and I don't know if they've actually. I don't think that cast has actually tweeted to confirm. But I'm returning to judge for the BookTube SFF Awards this year. I'm very excited about it, but obviously, I want to make sure that I don't have too many things going on at the same time as that. And then I don't want to have too many things in like July because
is Cass moderating it or Elizabeth
she's
still
administrating it.
Oh. Is Elizabeth stepping down or is Elizabeth still?
Yes, but I don't know what's been announced or not, so can we not?
Okay.
So
I just like you mentioned something and I was like my brain was like, wait.
Yes, I know, but anyway, never mind. My point is that there are so many things going on right now because obviously Worldcon is in July in New Zealand in June and July when I'm preparing to take like a whole 2 weeks off of work. I'm going to have so much actual work to do to get ready. And then also Elizabeth and I suppose that's not been announced either, but it's going to be announced very soon and the nomination period is closed. So I figure I can say me and Elizabeth have put in a joint application for this fan fund to go to New Zealand called the Gone Under Fan Fund. And so it's basically a thing where like you say that you'd like to represent European fandom in Australasia. And then you like go to a con in Australia and New Zealand and you represent European fandom. But I know there are some other extremely good applicants, extremely worthy applicants.
You need to write a report at the end.
I'm sorry?
If you get selected to represent the European fandom, like do you have to write a report of your experience?
You do. I mean, basically the obligations that you have is you have to administer the fund for the next year or so, I think, and then you also have to make sure that the fund isn't that you are fundraising during your tenure, so that the fund isn't like worse off when you leave it than when you took it. And so basically a lot of the funding,
basically that people are not just like using it to get free money and
well, obviously there's a lot of responsibilities with it, but what the point is, a lot of the report, the way they're done is that you write the report and then you like sell a version of it, right? And people can purchase it. And like Elizabeth and I have ideas if we are going to, if we do win, we have loads of ideas of how we would fundraise. I think a big part of the fundraiser this year is going to be the vote, because like I said, I'm aware of some of the people that have also put in applications, and they're genuinely great people. Like several of them are my friends. So I'm like, oh, well, like if we don't win, it sucks because it's going to be very expensive. And, but I think this year there's going to be like a worthy like representative no matter what. So, but it is very stressful. And at some point I'm going to be asking people to like go and vote for it, because the way it works is like basically if you're a person who's in a Worldcon fandom and has been in Worldcon fandom since like I think a year or something like that, you can go and pay I think $3 and vote, and that's one of the main ways that you fundraise for the fund and make sure that people can actually. So, but yeah, I think
I know that I've in previous years when I've had like leeway in my income and stuff, I've put in like for the funds that allow like disabled or POC or like minority and marginalized fans to get into like cons. So I've put some like donations through those. So I think the fan funds are like really cool ideas. I like it. It was just a mind-blowing experience when I learned that they exist. I was like, this is a thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, because fandom is just quite expensive. Well, if you're gonna do fandom in a way, especially like with convention fandom where you go to conventions, that's quite expensive. And so I think it's really cool that we have a mechanism to help out like that. And I've donated, like the way I'm aware of like Guff even existing is that I know I've donated to it in the past. And do you remember the organization that you donated to for helping disabled people? Because I only know about Con or Bust, which is the organization
Con or Bust
that helps out people of color.
Yeah, Con or Bust was the one that I donated to.
I mean, because I don't know if there's specifically organization that help out disabled folks, because again, like there's accessibility services at conventions usually, but there might be other needs.
Well, international flights are a major concern for like people with like mobile accessibility needs.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's definitely something that if there isn't a specific fund for it already, there probably should be.
Yeah, I think
I'm not making that a project for myself. So just
I think it was the writer Marie Ness this year who like went to Worldcon and the airline broke her wheelchair, and then like took ages to give her a replacement. They said they fixed it and they hadn't fixed it, and they said they gave her a replacement part and they hadn't. And it was just a massive palaver where like every other day, like she was on Twitter going like, no, you broke my thing and you haven't fixed it yet. And the customer service was so useless. And because this is like someone with something of a platform online, and we've been following those tweets, it's like, it's been a month, how has this not been resolved? And the poor customer service person who has no idea and isn't able to do anything about it anyway is stuck with being like, oh, we didn't do anything wrong. Well, the airline definitely did something wrong and definitely is like, not being responsible.
Well, it's like at those things like I think one of the things like that would be a benefit from like such a fund, or like from like an organization to help from those things, is to take the pressure off from the disabled person to handle those things, like dealing with the customer service if something goes wrong. So you'd have someone who then could be able to help in those situations, because I imagine that it is very taxing to have to like deal with the customer service people in addition to everything that's going on. Like you have your, like in this case, broken wheelchair, and you have a con to attend, and you have stuff on your plate. So I feel like a sort of like support system. Like
yeah,
even,
I don't know that it would be ever possible for somebody to like take a person's place when they're talking to customer service, because
no, but be in,
you know
like,
what I know what you mean. That sounds like it would be a very worthwhile thing, but you're not allowed to start it because you have too many things to do.
I know.
So, and yeah, I'm not sure I even said what I was reading. I think I got very distracted. I'm actually between books right now because I just finished a couple of things. This was my first book of the year, Blood Air, which is by Amélie Wenjao, sorry, and it came.
Was it good?
Well, I'm getting to that. It came in my Louis crate, and it's got these beautiful sprayed edges with blood on them, so that's pretty great. But yeah, the answer is some parts of it were good. Like I thought the atmosphere especially was great. The magic system in this book is good. Like this is a world in which some people have affinities and they're known as affinites, and affinities are basically like an affinity to a particular thing. Like so you have an affinity to the wind or the earth or flesh or blood, in the case of the main character. And so the affinities allow you to manipulate that particular like element or thing. But people with affinities are basically like reviled. And this girl, the main character, she's the princess of the empire, this like kind of fantasy Russian empire. And she's a princess and she has an affinity for blood. And she hasn't been trained in it because basically like everybody is like, no, this is so scary, you're a monster because you can like take over people's blood. And she's not been trained at all in it. And when she was a kid, she accidentally killed some people because she didn't know how to like control the ability because she hadn't been taught. And so now everybody's like, you're a monster, you're the blood witch of Salt Scarf. And it's like the magic system is really cool, the atmosphere is cool, like, but the story that she has chosen to tell within that world is just something that I didn't found very interesting, because it's just like kind of, I mean, I think you can tell that it's a first novel. You can tell that it's a debut. Like, I think the story is a bit basic and it's all like, she's a princess and she's going around. She's a princess and she has to like rescue this con man to help her find somebody that she's going to take revenge on, because basically, someone killed her dad, the emperor, and then she got framed for the murder of her dad, the emperor. They said she's like the terrifying blood witch, so she must have killed him. And now she ran away and she's getting this con man to help her find the person so she can take revenge. And it's like, as they're traveling throughout the country trying to find this guy, she's like discovering that like things that she knew in her sheltered existence aren't actually true. And it's like she's been on the run for a year and she's only just now going like, wow, my country is like really corrupt and shitty. And it's like, but I know it's a young adult book and I don't know exactly like how old she is because I don't think it's pinpointed. It's like, this seems like the kind of thing that you should be discovering in like your first week outside of the palace, when you have just taken in somebody who's like, when you just start living, She's got this
Yeah.
entire year of living with somebody who wasn't raised in a palace, hidden away from everybody because of her terrifying blood abilities. So I'm just like, why do you not? Anyway, there's a romance. I didn't find it very compelling because they don't really like talk to each other and figure out like and like.
So what you're
Anyway.
saying is that there are nice ideas, but the execution is kind of generic.
No. What I'm saying is that the idea at the center of the story is wrong. Like the plot of the story is like, why are you? It's fairly basic, and I don't want to like spoil it because if people want to read it, they can read it. But it's just like, at some point, there's like a surprise twist that reveals something about like the villain and what's been going on all along, and it just made it worse. So basically what I'm saying is actually if she had written a different story within that same world, I was just saying that I would love a story where this girl like runs away from home because you can see how like her family like tells her she's a monster and she must hide her ability and whatever, and so like if she had run away from them when she was like 15 or 16 and like traveled to one of these other countries where you hear that Aphanites are treated better, and she went to like some kind of like training school for blood mages there or whatever, or found a mentor to teach her how to do like medicine with her blood ability and also become a ninja, like that story I want to read. And in that story she can discover that everything is messed up, and that would have been great. But like, you know, and I can't tell you what it is specifically that made me actively go like, oh no, without spoiling it. But it's not the same thing as the like the Twitter controversy that happened with this. Bookish Linguist mentioning that in the chat. This is a book that some early reviewer said had some problematic content early on, where like basically one character who was I think described as Caribbean like had some like really kind of stereotypical representation, and then she died like really early on in a kind of like motivate the main character sort of way. That character still dies to motivate the main character. She is just not described anymore. And it's like, I read it and I didn't think it had any like, you know, super glaring issue. Then again, I'm, you know, like I didn't think it seemed racist, like, you know, now, but also I'm a wet lady, so what do I know? But it just does really kind of like, look, if you want to read a book about like how magic users are vilified by society, you should read Broken Earth. And I know it's mean to like hold our first time debut author who's writing in a different subgenre, YA fantasy as opposed to adult fantasy, to hold up to N.K. Jemisin, who has so many books under her belt and everything. But it's just like the narrative that she chose to go with, like the overarching way the story functions, I feel undermines what she's trying to do. And also because this is gonna be a trilogy, it literally...
I was just gonna ask if you know if it's a series.
It just... No, I'm not gonna continue the series, but it does this kind of thing where, like, again, it's not just this book, it's like the kind of thing that a lot of books do when they want to have a series, that like I feel like we are very close to not much changing by the end of the book. So anyway, 3 stars.
Well, 3 is still not that bad.
Okay, well, I was using the I don't know if everyone's seen G from the Book Roast did a video about, I don't know if it's a system that she came up with or it's just a system that she did. But yeah, she did this video on the Cawpile system, where you rate character, atmosphere, writing, plot, intrigue, logic, and enjoyment. So, you know, I've I wanted to start giving ratings, right, again. And I often don't really know, because like I get irritated by this because I thought it had some really good bits in it, and I would have really enjoyed a different story in that world. I was partly listening to the audiobook, which is why I had a bookmark in the middle of the book. But, you know, like, overall, there were things I enjoyed, and that's why it kind of got like a better mark. And I finished it, so obviously it's not going to be like super low, because I didn't want to DNF it. Partly because I didn't want to DNF my first book of the year. But, you know, I just really wish that she had chosen to write a different story in that world. But, yeah.
Well, maybe the next one will be better.
I just wish
not the next book, like maybe her next book in some other world or something.
The series. Yeah, I mean, look, she's very young, I think, right? Like, is she in her 20s or something? Like, even if she was in her 30s,
yeah, something like that.
That's pretty young for an author. Like, she has time to develop her craft, and I think that she and the publisher like did the right thing in that whole kerfuffle, where they were like, oh, there's a problem with it, let's pull it, work on it, and just release it a little later. Like, you know, I think in the grand scheme of things, like, it's probably not hurt her or her career to like pull it and re-release it later at all. You know, and yeah, I mean, it's just, can we stop having plots where like someone really privileged has to go through a journey to realize that the world is made of shit? It's just a bit tiresome. Also, I'm old, and this is a young adult book, so maybe when I would have loved it.
Another reason to read Autonomous, which has like approximately a 50-year-old main character.
Yes.
I don't think that gets brought up a lot, so I will bring it up.
I didn't know that. Is it a woman?
Yeah.
Ooh.
The other character is an AI who kind of switches between like gender identity. Like,
nice.
It's a thing, and then the other one is like her name isn't like her age isn't specifically mentioned, but she talks about being in grad school 30 years prior. So I'm like assuming somewhere in the late 40s, early 50s, unless she's like a super genius.
Well, I will
like when she was 13.
I will consider it and hope that the dice decides that I should read it. I finished up Come Tumbling Down by Shauna Maguire last night, and I just today read my arc of Finna by Nino Cipri, which is I don't want to talk about Come Tumbling Down too much because it's number 5 of the Wayward Children series, and like the premise of this book is a massive spoiler for book 1. If you like Wayward Children, you should read it. It's fun. It's not my favorite in the series. It's not my least favorite in the series. However, Finna by Nino Cipri, which is the book about a couple who has just broken up a week ago, having to go through an interdimensional portal in the IKEA where they work to go and rescue a little lady what got lost in the interdimensional portal.
I want to read that so much.
I want to read that.
Oh.
It's very good. It's very, very good. I really enjoyed it. I haven't put it through the Carfile system yet, but I am assuming it will get high marks because I liked it better than I did the Sean McGuire, who's one of my favorites.
Sounds so cool. I want to read that.
It's really, really great. So the main character is this woman who's had this breakup, I think 3 or 4 days ago, and she has to go in to cover someone's shift because they texted her they couldn't show up to work or whatever. So she's having to go cover in somebody's shift. She doesn't bloody want to be at work that day. She runs into her ex, when she's made sure to arrange her work shift so that she doesn't have to talk to them because everything is a bit too much, they're like, I tried to give you your space, but you're here, so like, could you maybe talk to me like I'm a human person? And they're also dealing with a bunch of other shit, like their manager misgendering them all the time. And then they discover that there's a portal. Anyway, so I have an arc of this from NetGalley. It's very short, it's like 145 pages, and it's a standalone, and it's really just lovely, and
I just love all the like IKEA stories that have been like coming out recently. I haven't read any of them, but the premises always like tickle me.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously not called IKEA in the thing. It's very obviously
IKEA. but it's obviously an IKEA.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's absolutely obvious, and it's even in the book like a Swedish company. So anyway, it's a lot of fun. It just hits that
kind
spot.
of sad. Sorry, continue.
No, I was just saying it hits that spot for a standalone short like novella thing where it just leaves you like able to think about what's gonna happen, but not like feeling like you're missing anything. Right.
I'm kind of sad that the whole Wayward Children novellas, like I love the covers. Like I'm always like, every time there's a cover reveal for the new book, I'm like, yay, exciting, and like getting like super excited about the covers, but I just can't get into the books. I'm so happy for everyone who likes them, but it's just like I'm like, yeah.
That's how I feel about Toby Day.
What?
Her main
October Day
series.
is another series that Seanan McGuire writes of novels, right? So
I haven't read any of those, so I wouldn't
so
know.
obviously Seanan McGuire writes the October Day series, the Encrypted series, the Wayward Children series, bunch of books as Mira Grant. She's coming out next year with like a bunch of, I think, middle grade books under a different name. So like that, I mean, she was forged in the fire.
Really prolific.
She was forged in the fires of fandom. She writes real quickly. And I mean, back in the day when they were actually still making that podcast, I used to listen to SF Squeakcast. It was a delightful show. And
I wish they still did that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot.
I could leave Paul Cornell because I'm still pissed at him for his shitty comments re the San Jose Worldcon dress code.
Yeah, I'm still pissed at him for being really good friends with Stephen Moffat and defending him all the time. But hey,
I fell out of the loop.
I don't know.
Never mind. I don't know any of these people.
Hi, baby.
Like, Paul Cornell is, by all accounts, like, he's a very, very well liked in the writing community, and he's a very like mild-mannered British man who is very polite and clearly like, when he made those comments about the dress code at Worldcon, he like, as soon as it was pointed out to him, he was like, sorry, I didn't realize. But it was just very much like, yeah, anyway, I don't know the man, so I don't want to, but yeah, I mean, anyway, it doesn't matter. The Squeakcast was lovely, and what I loved about it is that it was specifically about celebrating things and not about avoiding critique or criticism, but about choosing to focus on things that are squeeful and that people love. Yeah. And also I found out about the show Face Off because of that, and I love Face Off so very dearly that that's just left a strong impression for me in my life. But at some point on Squeakcast, where Seanan McGuire was one of the hosts, she like unmuted herself. Someone was like, Seanan, and she unmuted herself and was like, oh yeah, sorry, I muted myself because I was writing and I was typing really loud. And I'm like, how are you writing fiction at the same time as listening to people? And so clearly she can do that. So,
Well,
you know,
she also talked about like when we were in the plant panel with Maya, she talked about like putting some really hazardous plants in her school's roof when she was in high school.
yeah, she has a lot of great stories. Certainly, one thing about her is that she's good as a guest, like kind of on, on podcasts or whatever. Like especially when she's talking about her Mira Grant books, she has a lot of great stories.
My favorite is the one when she kept calling the CDC to test run her zombie virus, and she was like, I knew I was onto something when the person on the other side of the line got real quiet and said, I can't comment.
Yeah, I think she was saying that like she called them up to ask about it and they were like, I'm sorry, who is this? And she said her name and they were like, what? And she started spelling her name to like leave a message, hopefully get a call back. And as they were writing her name out, the person on the other end of the line got really quiet and was like, are you the lady that sang that song about the death, about the Black Plague, the Black Death, that song about the plague? Because she does filk, and she did a song about the Black Death one time that the CDC was like really into. And she was like, yes, that's me. And then they were like, if it's you need to sing the song right now on the phone. And they put her on speakerphone so that people could hear it was her. Yeah.
All right. We are reaching the end of our 2 hours. So do we want to do a lightning round of media? What we have been watching or consuming recently?
Sure. I can go. I've been trying to catch up with Critical Role. It's a lot of fun. I also finished watching the first season of The Mandalorian, and I would die for Yodito. Yodito is the best thing to come out of Star Wars in a really long time. And also Pedro Pascal plays a very good grumpy dad.
Yeah.
I want to watch The Mandalorian just for that relationship dynamic.
Oh my god! I was
single dad adventures.
I was not expecting The Mandalorian to be the road trip adventures of single dad and baby, but it is, and it's like. Okay, there are some episodes that are not good, but the final 2 episodes were very, very good, and I'm so happy that Deborah Chow is directing the entire Kenobi series, because her episodes were amazing. And also, please give Taika Waititi more Star Wars.
I have to say that The Mandalorian brought to mind all of the best bits of the legendary adventures of Hercules and also Xena Warrior Princess. Like the like basic like sort of tone of the series is very similar, and I live for that because those series were what I grew up with, and also Baby Yoda has my heart.
I love Baby Yoda.
Fuck you, Disney. Give us Disney Plus in the UK. We want to watch the fucking show instead of getting spoiled by everybody. And also stop monopolizing everything because it's not good, and pay taxes. Yes. I'm sure you could pay more taxes.
That's fair, but I think the whole not launching in the UK is like a deal with Sky.
Oh, well, but Sky is also garbage, so that's fine.
Like,
that's fine.
I basically just like share like account details with friends because it's not available in Finland either. Also, VPN helps.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know how to do it. I just am mad that it's not available. Like,
yeah, and also like I
was stealing media from the internet when I was like 16. I know how to do it. It's just a pain in the butt. Like,
we never did that though. We never did that.
I mean, it's not my fault that Daria wasn't available on DVD until 3 years ago. Like,
yeah, I love Daria.
I love Daria. When I was 16. I have actually gotten a cease and desist letter from my my internet service provider.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I did this wrong.
I mean,
anyway.
there have been those like cease and desist letters that get sent based on IP, and like these gentle grandmas who've never pirated a thing have gotten them because the previous person who lived in that apartment had downloaded something. So now I think they are like illegal. Like ISP providers can't send those to people because you can't verify the identity of the person who is using. Which is fair.
When you do it here, they literally turned my internet off. So.
Well, you have like the Big Brother thing, or like the whole thing that Snowden is in Russia for.
Okay, well, I've been watching The Witcher, and it's bonkers.
I actually watched The Witcher. I was not going to. I was like, this is not my kind of thing at all. I got sucked in over Christmas. I watched the entire thing in 2 days.
Well, John and I have been watching it together, so we haven't actually like finished it or anything. We're like 4 episodes in, but it's just I tried to read the first novel in The Witcher, which isn't the first book, but the first novel, and it was bad. I hated it. It was bad. It was very sexist, and also Triss Marigold date raped Geralt at some point by like making him really drunk and like sleeping with him, even though she knew that like that's not what he wanted. Because he wouldn't date her, and I was like, what is this book? What is this book?
I've only played the games, and like I have some like real issues with how they portray Triss as like this nice girl when like in the previous 2 games, like she knew Geralt had lost his memory and like took advantage of that to like get with him, even though like Yennefer is the love of his life.
I mean, I personally don't play Witcher games for the story. Like the first game, I just wanted every single nudie girl card I could find. And I basically played the game for like 100% completion just to get every single card. I'm trash like that.
I mean, that's fair. Like, that's fair. I've never played the games, but like, yeah, I didn't make it past that first novel. The show is based on the first book, the actual first book in the series, which is short stories. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's all like disjointed and timey-wimey in the first season. But listen, we just watched an episode where the entire episode takes place at this girl's like maybe wedding. She has to like choose a husband, and then this guy shows up with like a hedgehog head, and there's a big fight because the hedgehog guy is claiming the hand of the queen's daughter in marriage because the king before dying promised him that like by the law of surprises he would repay him for saving his life. And so basically like if you get home, whatever you find that you didn't expect that's a surprise to you, I'm gonna give it to you, buddy. And so he shows up and his wife has had a baby and he's like, oh, well, I guess you can have my daughter then. And so then there's a whole thing about like destiny and how it was her destiny to like marry Hedgehog Man. And then even though we've just talked about how bad the law of surprises is for the entire episode, at the end, Geralt is like, I guess I'll claim the law of surprises. And then the woman pukes, which means she's pregnant because ladies never puke on telly unless they're pregnant.
Yeah.
So you can watch media and apply this rule. You will see that my rule always works. If a lady is sick on TV, she is super pregnant. It's every time. Now, then, obviously, what you are meant to interpret from that is that the main girl, like the 2 main characters in the series are Geralt and his like adoptive daughter Ciri. Ciri's mom definitely did it with the hedgehog before the curse was lifted when he was a hedgehog man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so wait, he has the literal head of a hedgehog, not like a hedgehog helmet.
Oh, no.
Right. He's cursed. He's cursed.
Oh.
On his head.
This sounds like a transcript from someone's really bad LSD trip.
He turns back into a man after midnight every day. So it's like during the daytime he has a hedgehog.
Oh, that is not what I took from that episode.
Yeah.
Oh, you took that Drew as a furry?
That turns back into a man, and he realizes that the curse has been lifted because it's not after midnight yet.
Does this mean, Rachel, that
they
you
explained that
have
really
watched
badly.
the show?
They
What?
explained that really bad. No, the show is very funny. Like that was most of the episodes are pretty okay. Like as fantasy goes, it's not groundbreaking, but it's okay. Right? That episode was just so ridiculous. It got like that episode was worse than the other episodes in terms of narrative, but it was so stupid that it made it amazing.
But Rachel, have you watched the show?
Yes.
Or read the books?
I've watched the show. I have no intention on reading the books.
Okay. I just for a moment I was like, well, you know peculiarly much about this episode.
No, but like I think she must. I think you listened to it better than I did, or maybe they talk about it more later or whatever. Like I did not understand what you just explained and it makes more sense. But I think one of the issues with Witcher is that there's a lot that doesn't make sense. Like there's a lot that isn't explained, and that's left for you to figure out. You know.
Yeah.
There's also like a fun thing about like relating to the Witcher games. Like Andrzej Sapkowski has repeatedly like dissed CD Projekt Red for their depiction of Geralt and like how the games have kind of ruined his world, which is kind of like
number one, that's made him very rich, so he should shut up.
Yeah, exactly. And also he recently like redid the rights thing with CD Projekt Red. So
I think part of the reason he was really upset was that like the initial rights thing was like not good for him at all.
Mm. Yeah, well, but I've also heard that he gropes people at conventions. So
like he's shit.
Yeah, he's not like the best person.
I'm just saying. I would.
Well, you know, every generation apparently needs to have an Asimov, so you know.
Let's not go and qualify how many of them there are, because it's probably more than one. But what I'm gonna say is, I usually care very much about whether authors get a bum deal when like doing contracts with TV or games or whatever. It's just in that case, I don't have enough spoons to care about that. Now that I know the other thing, but yes, the song does get stuck in your head from Witcher, doesn't it? So
I have not heard it, and I don't want to.
Sorry.
Luckily, I did. Luckily, I suck at hearing, so you know. I just quickly want to mention that I binged like 2 seasons of Expanse. 3 and 4, they were good. They were fantastic. I did not think that I could care about Claish Ashford, but I did at the end, and the actor just like makes that character like.
I love David Strathairn. I will watch anything that has Strathairn.
Did you watch Alphas at all?
Yes.
I'm still mad about it getting canceled after season 2.
Yeah, great actor.
Yeah.
And I also just like that they visited like more planets. I need season 5 right now. And everyone has been pestering me like, when are you going to read the books? And I'm like, I'm not going to. Because
one of the things I really liked about season 4 is that Elvie is not annoying. Because I think that's the season that's kind of based on the book Cibola Byrne, whichever the books where Elvie is first introduced as a POV character. And one of the things that so many people say about that book is Elvie is so annoying. She's like so whiny and like, why do we even have her perspective? She becomes very important later on. Like she's one of my favorite characters in.
Which one of them is Elvie though?
Elvie is the black woman who's the one who she's the scientist figuring everything out in season 4 on.
I just like she's the doctor. to me.
Yeah.
Because I suck at remembering names, so it's like
Anyway, her character is so much better in this part of the show, at least.
like she really like asked all the right questions, like
I
when
know.
Holden was like doing stupid shit, and she was like, "Wait, no."
Yeah.
And then they were getting annoyed at her, and I'm like, "No." She's asking all the right rational questions like a normal person.
Yep. And I think we've seen the last of Miller. Like, he's exited at this point in the story. Like, I don't think he appears in later than this, and I'm kind of happy because I was never really into the detective character thing, but yeah. So
I like Miller in the like first season, but that whole like dynamic with Julie Maurer, where he kind of develops a romantic interest in her despite never having met her, is like, dude, you have some issues that you maybe need to take care of. Like, you know,
Miller has issues. Miller has issues.
But yeah, loving that show though. Loving that show. And also finished Derry Girls.
I need to catch up on that.
Oh, I need to catch them. They did an episode of they did a holiday episode of Great British Bake Off with the cast of Derry Girls, and I have not watched that yet, and I need to do that.
Oh,
I'm so salty that everyone is like, there's this like seasonal thing where everyone is like, yeah, Great British Bake Off, and I'm like, we don't get that where I live. And it's like the FOMO is real, because I hear everyone talking about how wholesome that show is, and I'm like,
I mean, to be fair, the celebrity Great British Bake Off, in, you know, the holiday ones that they do either for charity or for Christmas, they'll do a celebrity bake off. Like, it's not as good, and they never know how to bake, and it's always a little, you know, it's always on the cusp of being too cringy for me, because it's like, isn't it so funny that we have no idea what we're doing and we're just doing this for charity? And it's just like,
maybe you could have practiced before you came on the show.
I know, right? And it's but there's a new one. There's a new one coming soon that has like a whole bunch of people, including like people I actively care about, like Louis Theroux. So
I really would love for like a Great British Bake Off Good Eats crossover, mostly because I want to see Alton Brown dragging Paul Hollywood.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know who any of these people are. I don't know any celebrity ever, unless I'm actively watching a show, and even then I'm like, I recognize that face, but I don't know who that actor is or who that person is.
Paul Hollywood is
for
the
like
worst.
The actor who plays Avasarala. I follow her socials because, you know,
Paul Hollywood's one of the judges on Great British Bake Off, and he's there.
He's annoying.
Yeah,
he's annoying, and it's super annoying because they have built him up into this like thing, because he's the one that's been a judge since the beginning. He's the one that moved from BBC to Channel 4 when
he has no integrity.
But they've just built him up, and you know, in the first few seasons there was this like kind of fairly organic thing where like at some point somebody did a really good bread and he shook their hand, and it like became this thing where now, you know, whenever he's judging, sometimes he'll put his hand out like, maybe I'll shake your hand, maybe you'll get a Paul Hollywood handshake, and then either doesn't do it or like makes a production of doing it when he's gonna do it. It's just so annoying.
Yeah. Anyway, and Alton Brown is a TV host and cook who does a lot focusing on like the science of cooking, and so he's done a lot of stuff, but the one that he's most well known for is something called Good Eats, where he'll like explore like the backstory of certain things as well as like come up with good recipes, and he's really into, like I said, explaining the science behind it.
Is that show available for streaming anywhere?
Yeah, it's on the Food Network site.
Oh, well.
I use my grandparents' cable login because I'm peak millennial and have no cable.
I don't know. I don't know anybody who has cable, so I can't even like borrow it.
Well, streaming is the new cable, basically. I just to end the stream on a high note, I linked something which is really cute and wholesome. So it's about a panda daycare.
Okay.
I'm getting it.
Anyway, ooh. You might have to remove the source for that link to work.
Yeah, I just realized that.
Yeah. But in any case, I think we're either on Bree's channel next month if she can make it, or on mine, depending on how we're gonna change the rotation and everything.
Yeah, I think we're just swapping, so it'll probably be Bree next. But
Yeah.
Obviously, we don't really know until we figured out the day and the scheduling and everything.
Yeah, and normally we do these a bit later in the month. We just did it really early because of the gifts. But yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we wanted to do the gift exchange so early in the month.
The mail is conspiring against us.
I know. I'm just anyway.
The
I
irony.
hope you guys get things soon.
Thanks.
Eventually.
All right, we will start wrapping up now. How about each of us talks about one thing that we are looking forward to and what is next for us online on our channels, what have you. I will go first. Giant Days, the comic series, is coming to an end by mid 2020, I think. Yeah, so there are 2 more volumes that are coming out, and volume 12 is coming out in February, and then volume 13 will be the last. And I'm looking forward to the end because I like concluded stories, but I'm also kind of sad because Giant Days is a delight. So yeah. That's what I'm really, really looking forward to. And what's next for me, I don't really know. January is kind of a slow month for me. I need to do my reading statistics video to finish wrapping up 2019, but it's a production to do, so I'm kind of being lazy about it, but that will eventually be something I get out there. So, who wants to go next?
So I'm really looking forward to Storm Song by C.L. Polk, which is the sequel to Witchmark. And that won a World Fantasy Award, I think, in 2019. And it's just this really fun, like, secondary world fantasy with male romance in the first book. And when I say fun, like, it does actually end on like some pretty heavy stuff, but the relationship is lovely, and the story itself I really, really enjoyed. Really love the world and the characters. And there's a sequel in which we follow the sister of the main character from the first book, as well as a journalist that we meet in the first book. So the second one is Women Loving Women, which is lovely. And it's, I mean, I'm excited, but I have an arc of it, but it's almost unreadable. So I don't think I'm going to be able to read it because the formatting of it is very bad. So I was very excited to get it, and then I tried to read it, and I was like, maybe I can't do that. So we'll see if I keep going with it, or if I just wait for it to be actually out. And then what's coming on my channel, I don't actually know, because December was a bit of a mess and my plans got a bit turned around. So I was planning to do a lot of like end of year, end of 2019, beginning of 2020 recording in the week between Christmas and New Year. And then that turned out to not be possible at all because I was in France at that point. And now I'm not feeling good enough to record. So hopefully I can record some things on Monday, which is my other weekend day this week, but I don't know what they're going to be because I don't know if I'm going to actually go with wrapping up my 2019 goals and setting out my 2020 goals, so a goals video, and then like talking about my favorite books of 2019, or if by the time I have that edited, no one will care about goals and best of 2019 anymore, because that will be middle of next week. So I don't know.
It'll probably be fine.
I mean, I'm going to post my best of 2019 and my goals video next week. So
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
Hey, go away.
I don't know. One of my channel goals for this year is to be more consistent and try to have a video out every week. And like, I already messed that up. But my first video of the year did really well. So I'm going to focus on that. But yeah, the big thing that I was focusing on was the TBR game, and now that that's out, and we probably want to talk about that more next month because we don't really have time to get into it anymore. But yeah, I was very happy with that, and I'm looking forward to doing more of it.
yeah, same. I've been practicing Jenga with other opponents. I'm looking forward to Jojo Rabbit, which is coming to theaters like next week-ish. So me and partner are going to go and watch that. And I don't dare to be excited about any new releases right now because I can't buy anything because I'm once again in a book buying ban because I have 203 unread books on my shelf. So I need to prioritize, which is what the TBR game is for.
I'm not gonna mention how big my to-own TBR is, because it's more than that.
Well, it's like if it's maintainable for you, then like the number is like irrelevant. Like it's subjective, maybe.
I guess I'll go next. I'm looking forward to finally getting an announcement for what Project Luminous is. It's something involving various arms of Star Wars publishing. I've been promised that Claudia Gray will break my heart again, which I'm looking forward to because she writes the best Star Wars books. And then I'm also looking forward to the new N.K. Jemisin coming out in March.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And then up next for my channel, now that I've finally finished the gigantic book Scarf of Doom, I'm going to do the reading wrap up for 2019. And I'm also hoping to finally launch the giant Star Wars canon read through I keep threatening.
Yes.
I got a friend.
Oh, hello.
Oh, baby.
A wild Tesla must appear at least once during a live show.
Yes.
It's a rule.
He's the only one who likes to like come on the desk. Most of it is too like
Hyper?
he's too active and hyper. So when I try to pick him up, he goes like he's like no, and then goes away. And Hedda doesn't like to be held, so I can't pick her up. I need to respect her boundaries, and she does not consent to being held. She likes to come sit on my lap on her own terms, at her own pace and time, and only if I have a blanket.
Yeah, I mean, that's just sensible.
Yes.
The blanket thing is just sensible.
Like last night, she slapped me in the face because she tested my shoulder and noticed that I didn't have a blanket on. And then she slapped me and was like, hey, no skin on skin contact. So I sleepily pushed the blanket up, and then she lay on top of me.
I'm not sure if you can see behind me, but that's my armchair that I put into this room so I could get some reading done. And I don't know if you can see, but it's got this like blanket on top of it because it has been claimed by the cat. When our heating was broken in December, she realized that the heated blanket on my bed was actually heated. So yeah, there's a heated blanket on this bed that I love to read with. And when the heating was broken, she realized that it could get toasty. And she loved sleeping on it, and she seemed so relaxed. And we know she has arthritis, so we figured like actually probably the heat is genuinely doing her like not medical, but like it's doing her good in that way. And I'm a Muppet, so I bought her a special pet heated mat that can be at a low voltage and that can be left on, you know, because that's a human heated blanket. That is mine, and I'm trying to make sure she doesn't steal it and doesn't knead into it. So now my reading chair, and in my nook that I made for reading,
it's not Tabby's nook.
Pet heating mat.
Look, you have a
Tabby's
cat.
nook.
Everything you have is hers.
Yeah, I know.
Are you having fun there, boy?
And after this stream, Rachel can go check how many kibbles Ava has stored.
Yeah, I'll have to take all the blankets off my bed and check before night.
She brings you treasure so that you don't get hungry.
Treasures from far off
but
places.
she carries the kibble around in her mouth, and then it like gets it wet, and so it sticks to everything as well. So I'm kind of like peeling kibble off of napkins, and it's gross.
But gifts, precious gifts.
I don't know. All right, are we done?
I think we're about done.
I think so. Oh, my jaw.
Oh, all right. Well, that was a big yawn, I think. So is it bedtime?
Yeah, you need to drink lots of fluids and go have a heated blanket of your own.
Yes, that's true. I have a cat that I want to go and sleep next to, so
Go sleep next to your cat.
I have books to read, so that's very exciting.
You can read and then fall asleep with a book on your face.
Yeah, although I would like to eat some food too. But
Yep. Alrighty then, we shall make our goodbyes to everybody. We will be back next month, probably on Bree's channel. And until then, happy reading, all that good stuff. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.